The left has become so extreme that we now have a justice being nominated to the Supreme Court who testified under oath that she cannot say what a woman is. If she can't even say what a woman is, how on earth can she be trusted to say what the Constitution is? And a party that's unwilling to admit that men and women are biologically different, in defiance of all scientific and human history, is a party that should not be anywhere near the levers of power in the United States of America. Say what you want, but Judge Jackson was unbelievably disrespectful to Republican senators that in many cases were really nicely asking questions. She had total disdain and even hatred for them, and I understand that she's very proud of the fact that she never once voted to support President Trump on anything. She always voted against me, and she brags about it. I always voted against Trump. How about that? Is that nice? She always voted against me. Maybe it's an incorrect story, but I have a feeling it may be correct.
Thank you very much, and it's great to be back where it all started with the great patriots of CPAC. Thank you very much. Thank you. The socialists, globalists, Marxists, and communists who are attacking our civilization have no idea of the sleeping giant they have awoken. But they're going to find out the hard way starting on November 8th, and then again even more so on November 2024. They will find out like never before.
And the biggest lying scum of the politicians. Like Adam Shifty Schiff. Where do you meet people like this? He actually made up a story about my phone call with the president of Ukraine, who, by the way, is a brave man. He's hanging in. He's a brave man. I have no doubt that President Putin made his decision to ruthlessly attack Ukraine only after watching the pathetic withdrawal from Afghanistan. Yesterday, reporters asked me if I thought President Putin was smart. I said, of course he's smart, to which I was greeted with, oh, that's such a terrible thing to say. The problem is not that Putin is smart, which of course he's smart, but the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. Putin is playing Biden like a drum, and it's not a pretty thing as somebody that loves our country to watch. Just not a pretty thing to watch. You know, I was with Putin a lot. I spent a lot of time with him. I got along with him. I got along with President Xi. I got along with Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un has massive nuclear power. It's a good thing to get along with people, not a bad thing. You can be very tough and get along. In an advanced Western democracy, the peaceful movement of patriotic truckers, workers, and families protesting for their most basic rights and liberties has been violently put down. A line has been crossed. You're either with the peaceful truckers or you are with the left-wing fascists, and that's what's been happening. And the radical left is trying to replace American democracy with woke tyranny. They want to do the same thing to America that Trudeau has been doing to Canada, and much, much worse. Our mission in 2022 and in 2024 is to take on this radical and power-hungry ruling class and to deliver them an electoral defeat so resounding that they are exiled into political oblivion, never, ever to return again. We don't want you here. You have to remain in Mexico. And Mexico agreed with us. Someday I'll tell you that story. Built over 500 miles of border wall and ended the insanity of catch and release. As your president, I made America energy independent for the first time in 72 years. When I left office, America was a net exporter of energy for the first time in our country's history. As your president, I negotiated free and fair trade deals with Canada, Mexico, Japan, all over Europe, and China. We had the worst trade deals ever, and we turned them into some of the greatest trade deals ever made. I'm the only president in history to stand up to China and their one-sided and unfair trade practices, and I taxed them and I tariffed them beyond any levels that anybody thought was possible. And you know what? President Xi liked me and respected me, and I liked and respected him. We got along great. We got along great. Until COVID came, and then it was a whole different ballgame. But we had a very good relationship. As your president, I kept my promise and chose Supreme Court justices on the list I gave to the country before the 2016 election. I gave a list of great, brilliant, conservative justices. As your president, I insisted NATO nations start paying their fair share, and they did. Hundreds of billions of dollars started floating in. Hundreds of billions of dollars. And Secretary General Stoltenberg was my biggest fan. He said, I've never believed it, because President Obama would go to NATO, make a speech, talk about the weather, the sun, how lovely everyone looks, and leave. And others would too, including President Bush, how wonderful everything was. And I went and I said, I'm sorry, you're all delinquent. You have to pay up. And they said, well, does that mean you won't protect us if we don't pay? I said, that's what it means. And they said, get out the checkbook. And the money flowed in. Billions and billions of dollars flowed in. Oh, these are stories that the fake news doesn't want to talk about. I also warned NATO about the danger of Russia. And look at the consequences. On foreign policy, the world rightly had a healthy fear that as president, I would stand strong for American priorities. You remember, though, when so many people in the Democrat Party and during the debates said, he's going to get us into the Third World War with Trump. I'm the one that didn't have any wars. I'm the one that got us out of wars. Look at Iraq. Look at Syria. I was the one that brought us way down in Afghanistan. I brought you down to 2,000 soldiers. The easy part was just getting out. I brought it down from 20,000 soldiers to 2,000 soldiers. The easy part was for Biden to just get them out, let the soldiers stay, the remaining soldiers, and take care of everything. It's called Soldiers Outlast. I went to a child who was 5 years old. You've heard me say this. I said, let me ask you a question. I gave him the whole story. Would you take the soldiers out first, or would you take them out last? I'd take them out last. He was 5, and he understood. They understood any hostile actions would be met with swift and severe consequence. The world is always safer when America has a strong president. America has to be strong, and it needs strong leadership. And you see what happens when you have bad, weak, or incompetent leadership. It's a travesty like nobody could believe could happen in such a short period of time. The world is always in danger with a weak American president. This coming midterm election is more critical than ever before. I'm asking all of you to fight and work hard to elect candidates that believe in the principles and policies that we hold so dear. This is a tipping point for the country, and the stakes could not be higher. Losing is not an option. We must win in 2022. We must win in 2024.
In that process,
we are going to help with the House. I think we have a really good chance. I'm working with everybody, including Kevin McCarthy, on taking back the House. I think we have a really good chance on doing it. Likewise, the Senate's going to be a little bit tougher, but the Senate. So I told you that at least 8 senators would have lost their race. I could name them, but I don't want to embarrass them. but that includes Mitch, who was heading south. He called me up. He said, I need your help. And I'm very popular in Kentucky. I love Kentucky, and they love me. Mm-hmm. And I helped him, and he won by the most he's ever won by. So we are going to help with the Senate, and I think we have a good chance.
You got Marco Rubio. I hear Herschel's name mentioned a lot in Georgia.
Herschel would.
I hear Laura Trump's name mentioned a lot in North Carolina. Sununu in New Hampshire. I think he could win that race.
I think so too.
Ron Johnson in Wisconsin.
Ron Johnson's a great.
He's been a great senator.
He is a great. He is much more popular than anybody understands.
We don't know who's going to run in Ohio, but these are all.
We have some good candidates in Ohio.
So
I think we have a real chance at the Senate. I think we have a really, really good chance.
Well, tell me how far are you willing to go?
No,
are you going to travel? Are you going to do speeches?
Sure.
Are you going to do rallies for these candidates?
If they need a rally, we'll do a rally. We'll do calls. We'll do all sorts of things. No, we're all in. Alabama is going to be a tremendous win with Mo Brooks. We have a tremendous look. Almost everybody I endorse wins. We had a House seat in Louisiana, a wonderful woman, just happened. Her husband died of COVID. He was congressman-elect, and she is, Julia, she was fantastic. But a lot of people thought she might not get in the runoff. I endorsed her. She got 65% of the vote. There was no runoff. It's very important that we get the right people, and that means in the Senate, it means in the House, and it also means in governorships, because if you have a good governor.
And legislature, state legislatures.
Well, that's so important. The legislatures have.
Well, that's where they're going to fix the voting issues.
We've had a lot of great legislators. Unfortunately, the courts refuse to listen, even though it's in the Constitution that they have to. The courts have been very, very
H.R. 1, I argue, usurps the constitutional authority of state legislatures. Now the big question. Two parts. What do you miss the most about being in the White House, and how seriously are you considering running again in 2024?
I miss the most helping people, because I can directly help people. That's why I did it. Look, this has been a very traumatic. I had a great life, great company, great business, no problems. And now all I do is people go after you. It's vicious. It's horrible. But you know what? I love doing it because I help people. And I've helped them more than any president with the cutting of taxes, with the regulations, with right to try.
You're proud
you know
of
how
all
big right to try is?
Huge.
Where you don't have to travel to all sorts of different continents to try and get something. We have the greatest doctors and the greatest labs. We can use their medicines now. If somebody's terminally ill, they can sign a quick little document. You can use and that's had a huge thing.
What are you most proud of, though?
A lot of things. I'm very proud of the tax cuts. I hope they don't screw it up, because the jobs, we brought back a record. I think so. We brought back a record. Well, it's still not going to be as high as it was. It was really 39%.
Right.
So it looks like it could be at 25%. I brought it down to 21. But I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of and very importantly, the regulation cuts. I'm very proud of what I did for the military. I've rebuilt the military, and I've added something called Space Force. It's going to be so powerful, so important. So I've added another, think of it, I've added to the military. It hasn't happened since, I guess, 75 years, since the Air Force.
And the economy pre-COVID,
Space Force.
Record low unemployment.
We had the greatest numbers in the history of the world. We had the greatest economy in history. World. We had the greatest economy. We had the greatest job numbers. We're up to 160 million people. We were never even close to that. And if you think of it, I did it twice, because then the whole world went down. We've come back stronger than any other country in the world. They used to hit me with Germany and France and this and that. Well, they're doing terribly right now. They're all locked down. It's a disaster. They're having riots on their streets. This country is coming back strong. And it's very interesting. Places like Florida and Texas and many others, I could name many others, I think in almost all cases run by Republicans. I think in all cases, but they've done so well. And you look, I saw the other day Michigan. I would say there's been nothing as close, other than for her husband, who was, had free run of the place. I don't think that there's been any state more locked up than Michigan.